Wake Up Call DT. Proud to be hanging out with you every Monday through Friday inside of the Cafe Cubal studios. And Cafe Cubal is here for you, and you can find them at multiple different locations. You can find them at 3501 James Street, 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street. You can also, and that's in Syracuse, you can find them inside of Galisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. And you can find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse, New York, at their drive-through location at Sweetheart Corners, and inside of Galisano's Children's Hospital, like I mentioned before, in downtown, and out in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street. So however you're connecting with Cafe Cubal, make sure that you do that today and every day throughout the week. And they have those awesome bags of coffee where you can grab it, go, have it for later. So you can grab a coffee for now, grab a bag for later, but grab two and send one to somebody that you love. So it's that plus one, pay it forward type of feel. So, here in 2022, really at any time, we should be living in a pay it forward society. So I would love it if, you would do that. Hold the door open for somebody, pay it forward. Grab some coffee for yourself, grab something for somebody else, pay it forward. And it goes a long way to just care about other people, and I appreciate your patience this morning and for being a part of the show here today on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we look to pay it forward. We have our first ingredients to success of the new year of 2022, a new topic and ingredients. We're going to talk about control and how to grab control of your own life and to not seek to control the lives of others. So we're going to talk about control today because that's a big thing. Sometimes we don't even know that it's going on, but we have to be willing to stick up for ourselves, stick up for what we care about, who we care about, and we have to be okay and comfortable in our own skin because control is a tricky thing in life. So we're going to talk about control here in the Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. We're also going to have two fantastic guests. It's so great, former Syracuse coaches have been joining the show for years here, and I have the opportunity to be joined today by two of those coaches. I was joined by two others yesterday. We started off 2022 with DeAndre Smith and Tim Lester. Today we're going to continue our first week of 2022 broadcasts with our second broadcast of the year, number 2 of 2022, which is awesome, with Fred Reed and Joe Adam. Fred Reed used to be in the secondary, helping out the secondary at Syracuse as their coach. He is now the safeties coach and the defensive passing game coordinator of Eastern Michigan. He's been with Eastern Michigan since he left Syracuse and got the defensive passing game coordinator role recently here and got moved to safeties. So we'll hear what Coach has to say when we have Fred Reed on in just a few minutes. And then in hour number 2, we'll be joined by Joe Adam, Faith, Family, and Football, the head coach of St. Anselm's Hawks, which play in the same conference that Lemoyne would be playing in if they had a football team, but they do play in this conference for everything else, and that's the NE10. So we'll hear from Joe Adam in just a little bit, and then we'll hop into the Ingredients to Success around 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. I appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, and thank you so much for being a part of the show. It really does mean the world to me that you take the time and be a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, you could be with us 24/7, 365 by going to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. You can also go to wakeupcalldt.com, subscribe to the website there, which is free. And of course, you can subscribe to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can also connect with us on all of our archives here. You can bookmark and save these archives. You can look up Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on your phone on any one of these apps and save our show, and it'll be updated for you so you can constantly get the information, which is great. So Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can connect with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by going to any one of those and search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT, and then save the podcast to whichever one of those channels that you love to go to. We appreciate your connection to us everywhere. We thank you so much for that connection to us, and it means the world. So happy 2022, and thank you for your support. As always, it goes such a long way. We're getting ready for Fred Reed to be joining us in just a few minutes here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which gives me the opportunity to speak on the rest of bowl season here. There's not too much, out of the 43 bowl games that were played, which include the college football playoff semifinals, of the 43 games that were out there that we prognosticated, Papa Joe and I, a couple weeks ago, there is still a little bit left on the docket here. There is a game today at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN here on January 4th, Tuesday, January 4th. We have the Texas Bowl, which will be played in Houston. Kansas State's taking on LSU. Kansas State 7-5 out of the Big 12. LSU 6-6 in a year where they let Ed Ogeron know that he was leaving the team during the season, which I don't typically agree with, unless there's something bad. Like if somebody broke the law, if it's something that's like really not okay, like we need to get this person out of here. It's not, safe to have this individual as part of the program anymore, then I get that. But, to fire a coach or to tell a coach, hey, like you're going to get fired at the end of the season, but stay here and keep coaching, that's like saying, hey, we're going to break up in a couple months, but keep dating me and buying me stuff. And, it's just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm not down with that, but LSU did do enough to make it into a bowl game, and so they'll be playing tonight in the Texas Bowl. So for those of you that think the bowl season's over and it's just the national championship, it's actually not true. We have one more game to go before things are saddled up toward the national championship, which will be played coming up here very, very soon on January 10th, a week from yesterday. And so we'll get to see next Monday on January 10th, we'll see the national championship game in Indianapolis at 8 p.m. Eastern Time between Bama and Georgia. So Alabama, the number 1 seed, will take on the number 3 seeded Georgia, as once again, we are in a situation where we have an all-SEC championship game. A few years ago, this actually happened, and we got to see this all come to fruition just a few years ago, where Alabama, it was the year where we saw a very strong and undefeated UCF team go on to play in a bowl game to defeat Auburn, and Auburn was the only team in the country to defeat both Georgia and Alabama that season, but Auburn was not allowed into the college football playoff, nor was UCF. UCF beat Auburn, who had beaten these two teams, who ended up playing for the nation's championship game. Very interesting here, and ultimately we saw the fact that Alabama was able to do what Alabama does, which is come through with the victory. Even though Georgia did make it interesting for a spell, it ultimately went to the Alabama Crimson Tide, as it typically does more often than not. We look at the history of the college football playoff, just, for those of you that may be wondering, because you could forget that some of this history, I kind of, I feel like, some of this stuff it slips my mind, how it all started. So it started back in 2015, right? So the last BCS national championship was won by FSU, and then we had the college football playoff. Well, the semifinal was the Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl in 2015 in the first ever college football playoff. Oregon defeated Florida State, the 2-3. Ohio State defeated Alabama in the first ever college football playoff in the semis for a seed over the 1 seed. And then we saw Ohio State win the championship over Oregon, which is ironic because Oregon defeated Ohio State in the regular season this season in 2021. That game was played in North Texas, and Ohio State won the first ever college football playoff as a 4 seed. So the lowest seed actually won. In 2016, number 1 Clemson in the Orange Bowl took down number 4 Oklahoma. In the Cotton Bowl, Alabama shut out Michigan State 2/3, 38-0. Alabama defeated the Clemson Tigers in Arizona for the championship, number 2 over number 1, 45-40 in a close one. In 2017, number 1 Alabama defeated number 4 Washington in the Peach Bowl, 24-7. And then in the Fiesta Bowl, Clemson shut out Ohio State 31-0, the 2 seed over the 3 seed. And Clemson defeated Alabama, so they returned the favor the next year, 35-31 in another close game. The number 2 seed over the 1 seed again just flipped Clemson over Alabama this time, and that was played in Tampa. In 2018, number 3 seeded Georgia won in the Rose Bowl over Oklahoma, the number 2 seed, in a shootout, 54-48 in 2 overtimes. And then in the Sugar Bowl, Alabama took down Clemson, the 4-seeded Alabama, 24-6 over number 1 seeded Clemson. Alabama played Georgia that year, 2018, what I was talking about a few years ago, 3 years ago. And Alabama won that game 26-23 in overtime, like I said, close. Number 4 over the number 3 seed in Atlanta. And then in 2019, Clemson in the Cotton Bowl took down Notre Dame 30-3 in a blowout, 2 seed over 3 seed. And in the Orange Bowl, Alabama took down Oklahoma number 1 over 4, 45-34. Clemson defeated Alabama, blowing them out, which is unheard of. The number 2 seeded Clemson defeated number 1 seeded Alabama 44-16 in the Bay Area. And then last year in the COVID year, we saw in the Peach Bowl LSU, the number 1 seed, 63-28, or pardon me, this was 2 years ago, but because it was the end of 2019 season, 2019-20. Number 1 seeded LSU 63 over 4 seeded Oklahoma 28. LSU, the highest score ever in a college football playoff game, getting to 63. And then Clemson, the number 3 seed over 2 seeded Ohio State 29-23. LSU defeated Clemson 42-25, number 1 over the 3 in New Orleans. Then last year in the COVID year, we saw in the Rose Bowl Classic, Alabama took down Notre Dame 31-14, defeating them by almost 20 points, 1 over the 4. And in the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State took down Clemson by 21, number 3 seed over the 2 seed. And Alabama defeated Ohio State 52-24, the 1 over the 3 seed, which has led us to where we are today. So we look at, the history of all of this. Alabama has won 3 college football playoff national championships. Ohio State has won 1, Clemson has won 2, and LSU has won 1. So to break it all down, the Big Ten has 1 championship, the SEC has 4, and the ACC has 2, and 3 of the 4 in the SEC belong to Alabama. And now we have an all-SEC championship game, which should be no surprise to most people as we get saddled up for that in less than a week on January 10th at 8 p.m. when Alabama takes on Georgia. And I had the opportunity to speak with Nick Saban after Alabama defeated Cincinnati, and I also got to speak with Alabama going into this game, which I'm very excited about going into the championship game. I'll be airing those specials this week, so make sure you stay close to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/live-now-dt, as well as on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.com. There's always a lot of great stuff coming up where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I appreciate you for being connected with the show all the time. So many thanks, much appreciation, and much love to all of you for all that you do to connect with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll take a quick step aside for a fast break. Fred Reed still coming up this morning, and we'll have plenty coming up in hour number 2 with Joe Adams. So stay close and stay here. Greg said, is this the first year the major bowls are giving the classic moniker? And so that's a good question, Greg. And actually, I'm looking back on here. No, I mean, so if you're wondering if the major bowls are given the name the Classic, no. The Cotton Bowl is called the Cotton Bowl Classic. Peach Bowl is still the Peach Bowl. The Fiesta Bowl is still the Fiesta Bowl. So Cotton Bowl has the Classic moniker. but the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl does not. The Orange Bowl does not. The Fiesta Bowl, if that's what you're asking. So, no, it's just the Cotton Bowl Classic is what it's called. So, Greg said kind of like Coca-Cola Classic. Yes, it's very true. So, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. And we got a message coming in here from my buddy Johnny. And so, Johnny said, but if someone said that to me, I'd pull the Antonio Brown move. Johnny, what were you saying that about? I would love to know what Johnny was referring to that to. Yeah, Antonio Brown. Beyond everything, I pray for that man. I pray that he gets the help that he needs. I really do. Because this has been, this is wackadoo. We look at the track record of Antonio Brown. I said that we were going to find out really quickly if it was a Steelers problem or an Antonio Brown problem. And we saw that it was an Antonio Brown problem. Steelers moved on without him. Granted, they haven't had a great number one receiver, but they were able to move forward. We see, where he's been and kind of what he's done here. And he played for the Steelers. Then he didn't play a game for the Raiders, got kicked out of there. And then played with the Patriots for a very short amount of time, off and on, and then eventually made it to Tampa. The former number one, arguable number one, you noted the Rose Bowl Classic. Oh, okay. Did I say Rose Bowl Classic? Oh, Rose Bowl game. So, yeah, if I said Classic, no, it's just the Rose Bowl game. So, it's Cotton Bowl Classic, Rose Bowl game, Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. All the good. So, the Antonio Brown saga. If Antonio Brown was as good as, we thought he was. Listen, he's a good wide receiver, but he has issues. He has issues, and I don't think that people fully understand that, and that's the issue, is that there are issues. And when you're arguably the number one receiver in the nation, in fantasy, in reality, and then the team that you're on is in this embattled war with you and then just decides to let you go, and then you go to the Raiders and the Raiders don't even keep you to play a game, and then you go on to the Patriots and the Patriots try to keep you and eventually let you go, and then you go and in the middle of a game in the third quarter, you take off your jersey, you take off your pads, and you're half naked on the field in the middle of the game standing in the end zone. Like, it looks like someone who has mental problems. It looks like somebody who truly has something going on that's beyond football, and I just hope. To me, it looks like one of two things. It looks like someone one of three things. It looks like someone who needs attention. It looks like someone who doesn't have any self-esteem and needs people to, it's kind of like the same thing. I guess it is one of two things. It's either somebody who needs attention, who's desperately crying out for it because they don't have enough self-love, or it's someone who's genuinely has a mental issue going on. And whatever it is, it's not good. And I just pray to God that Antonio has somebody in his life that can actually sit him down and get like a real plan and have some progress. Because what Antonio Brown did is what a 4-year-old would get in trouble for doing. For getting pissed off or whatever he did, running out there, taking off your jersey, throwing it in the stands, but at this point, it's not just laughable. It's not just, oh, that's Antonio being Antonio. At this point, because of everything else, I honestly feel like he needs to talk to somebody, and I just hope that things get better for him. Greg said, I found it ironic that AB did a sit-down with Fox Sports, aired Sunday morning, speaking on awareness of mental health in sports. Yeah, that is very ironic. So I pray for you, AB. I pray for everybody that has something going on that's either been left unchecked or has been checked. I pray and I hope for everyone everywhere that needs help, that the good Lord gives it to us. In Jesus' most precious name, and that we seek him out. God bless. Amen. In the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Because this is more than just talking heads laughing about somebody who looked like an idiot. I mean, this is an issue. AB needs, and I thought, I'm thinking like, this man's not going to find his way onto a team. Like, he just seemingly has a red flag that's too big. You know what I mean? And there's just too many issues going on. And then he found his way onto the Bucks, and he looked like he was fitting in. And I was like, wow, maybe this will work out. And then here we are this morning. So I just pray for AB. And I hope things get better. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless. Take care of yourself, AB. And if his loved ones are out there listening, please reach out to the man. Because this is too much. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we will be here with Fred Reed, former Syracuse DB's coach that's joining us here. He's been with Eastern Michigan ever since he left Syracuse, and he is now the defensive passing game coordinator as well as the safeties coach for the Eastern Michigan Eagles, who go up against the Western Michigan Broncos. Tim Lester, who used to be coach at Syracuse, now 5 years Western Michigan head coach at his alma mater, going toe-to-toe with the man, Mr. Fred Reed. We'll talk about it all right after this fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hanging out here where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and I'm honored and privileged, as always, to have our special guest inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', and I feel absolutely positively privileged to be able to be joined by Mr. Fred Reed. Fred's joining us here from the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the safeties coach and defensive passing game coordinator, and I'm very excited to have Fred here. He was at Syracuse. I had the opportunity to follow him first when he was with the Syracuse Orange a few years back, and then went on to Eastern Michigan. And as coaches have had somewhat of a carousel, he's been able to have longevity at Eastern Michigan, which is unheard of in the coaching world, which we'll talk about that and what that means and the importance of that as Fred gets set to join us here from the great state of Michigan. Mr. Reed, how are we doing today?
Doing great, Dan. It's really cold here in Michigan, and but the sun is out, so it's a great day.
And Fred, you and I had the opportunity to meet a few years back, and then you went on to Eastern Michigan, and as I said, longevity for a coach is a hard thing to find in any place. What can you say about, like, going back to maybe weighing your options and whatnot? What made Eastern Michigan look like the right place after Syracuse?
Well, it's always difficult when you're going through transition and trying to find the next spot. And, I had a friend that worked here and worked for Coach Creighton, Chris Creighton, and he's done a phenomenal job here as our leader. I got a chance to talk to him on the phone prior to taking the job and just showing interest. And his energy just jumps through the phone, you know what I mean? And his vision in terms of being able to turn the program around and those type of things. The friend of mine that worked here had a great experience with them, which led to me, really pursuing the job and talking to Coach Creighton about it further. And at that time, they had only won 3 games in 2 years, his first 2 years. And but he was passionate about his vision of building a championship level program and being able to attract the right people because it's about people. For us here, he wants good people and those type of things. And I think our philosophies aligned with that. And being back in the Midwest, I'm from Chicago originally, so that was attractive as well. But it's been great, and we've been able to achieve a lot of things. 4 bowl games in 6 years, and this year having a chance, which we haven't in the past. We went 7 early enough where we can push to win 8, and it was a great challenge for us. And so we're seeing great progress here, and we're excited about the future.
Yeah, and Fred, you talk about the fact of, what you've been able to do as a coaching unit at Eastern Michigan. 4 bowl games in 6 years. You came in 2016. You've been through here to the 2021 season that just wrapped up, and now moving on to 2022. What can you say about the coaching staff? We know that Creighton stuck around. We know that you've stuck around. But how much continuity has been on the staff in this world where you've been to 4 bowl games in 6 years? How much of it has been a staff that has stayed together?
Yeah, I think the core of it has been pretty good. Like, Coach Creighton, obviously, has been here. Our defensive coordinator, Neil Nethery, and myself, we got here at the same time. And so right now, we are like from the 16th season, the long-standing guys left. But Coach has done a great job in terms of he's a great people person in terms of trying to find out who fits, and he's done a great job of finding guys to replace coaches who have gone on to better opportunities. To be quite frank with you, they've gone on to great jobs. I mean, Kalen DeBoer was here as the offensive coordinator at 16. He's now the head coach at University of Washington. So we've had some really great people come through here. And very talented coaches, and Coach Creighton has done a great job of keeping us together. And so myself and the defensive coordinator, we are the only ones left in terms of on that staff that's remaining from the 16 season. Our strength coach has been here for all that time, and he's just left to go to University of Washington. So I think when you have success and those things like that, opportunities are going to come to coaches that do a good job and are good people. And we're always excited for for guys getting opportunities. And I think just the common thing here in terms of our foundation is our head coach, just in terms of who he is as a human being and as a football coach. And he has a great pulse in our profession to know who are the right people that fit in our program to add some stability to what we got. I think our systems are in place offensively and defensively. You adjust every year, but we're aligned in the same direction that way, so we don't have any issues that way. And I think it helps our players when there is coaching change to be able to, it's a quick adjustment for our players. So that's kind of how we've dealt with the movement. You get that a lot, especially around this time, December and January, in our profession, but just that's the way it goes. And I think Coach Creighton has done a great job of keeping the continuity of what we do have intact.
And when you have that, not just to have some continuity, but to have your head coach be the same, and Neil Nethery, your defensive coordinator, and then you be one of the defensive coaches, to have that specifically, what has that done for the defense? Because to have you and Neil and Coach, that means that Coach's vision and Neil's vision and then your vision with Neil gets to stay the same and evolve together, but that you're always on the same path here. It's not that Neil is going and saying, okay, I need another safeties guy, I need another defensive passing game coordinator, and Coach, obviously a head coach, the two biggest hires they're ever going to make that have to really do with the longevity of their job are their offensive and defensive coordinators. So when you have Neil and you on the defensive side of the ball, what does that do for Eastern Michigan to protect success?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is to play. It can always come back to the players and teaching the fundamentals of the game and those types of things. And so that's a high priority here with Coach Creighton, Coach Nethery, and myself. We want to be able to teach the fundamentals of the game and get the players to play at the highest level possible. And philosophically, offensively, and defensively, I think the biggest thing I think for our players is they don't have to learn new systems. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of change in all those things across the country, and kids have to learn new systems, and that makes it really, really difficult on a lot of people. When the kids understand the system and know the system, and the coach can coach the fundamentals, it just makes the transition a lot easier for everybody. And so our kids, if we do lose someone on offense or something like that, our system is in place, right? From with Coach Creighton and philosophically what we're doing offensively and what we call things and that things of that nature. If we lose, a coach on defense, for example, Neil and I have been together long enough. With me in the secondary, and he's in the front end of things with the linebackers and D-line. It's just an easier adjustment, and our players don't have to adjust if new coaches come in terms of schematics. I mean, we're going to do what we do, and we're going to do it well. And so I think that's probably the common thread there. Just in terms of our players, there's not much change for our players, right? That you get a new coach, you get to experience somebody that has probably individually a little bit different philosophy, in terms of how they want to coach and their approach. But I think the core thing is getting back to people and the type of people Coach Creighton brings in. It just makes it easier for our players in any type of transition. So I think our players don't go to it. It's not, I'm not going to say it's not a big deal, but I don't think it's something that they stress over once they meet a new coach. So I think the core of having an offensive philosophy and a defensive philosophy that everybody's pulling in the same direction, and you can teach the fundamentals to the guys. And there's not much change for our players. It just makes this time when there is transition a lot easier. So I think that's the those are the key things when I look at it, because I always look at it from a player's perspective. And I think sometimes what gets lost, Dan, is that and our thing is everybody looking for the next quick fix. The next coach, the next hot guy, who's hot now, winning and all that.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to win, right? But I think what get lost is that the players, in terms of in those transitions, have to go through a lot in terms of the learning and the stress. In terms of it's already stressful. Those guys work out, from now January all the way to the end of December. I mean, so they put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's just that sometimes I think administratively people don't understand the continuity is really, really important. And then if a team is struggling and so on and so forth, those type of things early on in the first couple of years, you gotta stay the course. And I don't think a lot of administrations these days don't do that. They don't like to stay the course. And I think if they stay the course, I mean, it could have been very easy for Eastern Michigan to let Coach Creighton go after winning 3 games in 2 years. I mean that's probably an easy thing to do, but they stuck with him, and now he's had great success here, more success than anybody has in the history of the school, any head coach in the history of the school. So, you gotta have patience, and you gotta have a system in place that if you do have other coaching change between assistant coaches changing, that the players are not affected as much, and that they can continue, hit the ground running when the new coach gets in, and so on and so forth, and everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Fred, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the breakdown and the speaking about, what happens when you have continuity versus when you don't. I also want to make mention of the fact that you maybe mistakenly quoted or maybe subconsciously quoted 2 of my favorite songs, where you said something which is along the lines of doing it and doing it and doing it well, which is from LL Cool J, and then you also did the kind of who hot who not, which is Feel So Good by Mace. So I just want to mention this morning that you got my hip hop feel in early 2022 by accident. I like it.
Yeah, I like that. I like those references. I didn't think about it, but that's pretty cool.
It's a good way to start. I got Mason LL this morning, so
yeah, you can't go wrong with Mason LL, right? You're early. Wake you up. It's good.
Yeah, I was like, I know what I'm listening to on the commercial breaks. I know that much, but so before we jump into anything else, Fred. So for you, I mean, there's Eastern Michigan, there's Central Michigan, there's Western Michigan. You're all in the same division of the MAC, and when we look at the MAC Shin, and the west side of the MAC, we have you, Western Michigan, and Central Michigan. Like I said, bring me into these rivalries. I mean, this year you were able to go up against a friend in Tim Lester and defeated Western Michigan 22-21, and then went on to play Central Michigan, lost that game 31-10. What are the rivalries like with the Broncos and the Chippewas when we talk about 3 different Michigan-based teams of Central, Eastern, and Western all playing within the same division of the same conference?
Yeah, no, it's great football, and there are great rivalries. For us, it's a little different because prior to us getting here, the tradition at Eastern was as good in terms of winning, and so I think the rivalry between Western and Central is like is huge, right? I mean, that's in the state, people know about that. And in recent years, since 16, we've gotten a lot better, and we've been able to compete at a high level against Central and Western, and those have become some really great contests and in-state rivalries now. Because again, it's not a rivalry really unless you're able to win some of those games. And I think prior to us getting here, Eastern wasn't winning a fair share of those games. And so, but I tell you what, though, it's great. The excitement, the intensity on both sides. With the coaching staffs and the players, it's a fun time. And all 3 programs have done a great job and did a great job this season of getting to bowl games and having success in bowl games. And it's been really good, and it's good for us from the Eastern Michigan standpoint to be able to be in a conversation, because prior to 16 we weren't in a conversation really, And so our kids and our administration and coaching staff is just we're proud to represent the Block E and compete against Western and Central on a yearly basis, and it's great. It's great football. It's great football.
For you to have opportunity every single season to see Tim Lester again, what are those moments like? What is that kind of like pregame on the field like? Do you get to spend a couple minutes? Do you razz each other at all? Do you pick each other's brains? What's when Eastern and Western get to play each other? What does it feel like for you and Tim?
Well, first of all, you have friends in the profession, and when you compete against them, I personally, I'm not a big fan of competing against guys that I know. You know what I mean? It's just it's because we're all scrapping and competing hard and all those type of things. I prefer just to cheer for them, root for them, and not play against them. But it's a unique situation with Tim and I because of our relationship back at Syracuse and both being from Chicagoland area and all those things there. So, usually the pregame is pretty lax, and it gives us a chance to catch up, and we always catch up, talk about what's going on with the Bulls. And I'm a White Sox guy, he's a Cubs guy, you know what I mean? So, we talk about little things like that. Not so much football, but things, just what's going on with our families and things of that nature. So, he's a great guy, and I value our friendship and those things. And but when it comes down to strapping it on and playing against each other, once those conversations are over, we're both trying to take each other out. So, so it's all good though. But I enjoy it, and like I said, he's a great guy, and we run into each other from time to time on the road in the summer, and it's always good to catch up.
That coming here this morning from Fred Reed, a safeties coach and defensive pass game coordinator of the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Been with Eastern Michigan for 2016 through now, and is moving on here into the 2022 season, recruiting as we head toward the second part of National Signing Day, which is coming up in February. Fred, for me to understand this, because I see it on some lists and you don't see it everywhere on coaching staffs, defensive pass game coordinator, what does that mean in your words?
Well, it's something that I take great pride in. Obviously, we have a defense coordinator, that's Neil Nethery, and so he runs the defense and calls the defenses and things of that nature. What we've done over the years and being together is I've taken a little bit more of a load off of him in terms of the pass game. Something I enjoy doing, and it just gives me a little bit more say in terms of what we're doing from a pass game standpoint. And that's been, great for me, rewarding in terms of being able to be a little bit more involved, with what we're doing. Game plan wise, and some schematic things as well. So I think I've been a coordinator and I've done that, and so to be involved a little bit more as an assistant coach is I appreciate having an opportunity to do that, and what it entails is just those things in terms of game planning and preparation and some schematic things on a weekly and yearly basis.
Makes sense. So to have a piece of that and to help out, like you said, the defensive coordinator, as your role has evolved at Eastern Michigan, how have you seen yourself evolve? And then secondly, why do you love the secondary so much? Why is that something that energizes you?
Well, just being here, I think that being here at Eastern and Neil is a good friend, and Chris Creighton is a good friend as well. Just being with them and getting to know their families and those type of things, it's been awesome. And we've recruited some really good kids, and just love the young men that we have in the program. And I've been able to be here long enough to see kids come through and go through the program as freshmen and redshirt and graduate, in 5 years, some guys in 4. That's been really, really rewarding. And then being able to have our guys walk around with pride on campus with a blocky on their chest. There were some guys when we first got here that didn't have that opportunity to walk around with pride, with a blocky on their chest, you know what I mean? And they were chastised and things of that nature. But things have changed, and so I'm proud to be a part of a program that supported, got great support from my administration, and have a head coach with great energy and passion. So I'm excited every day that I wake up to be able to represent Eastern Michigan University, and the players that we have here. What was the second part of that?
Just what energizes you about the secondary specifically, why you love it?
Yeah, secondary play. It's just, I played DB, played free safety, and so that part of it. And I've always been, I was never growing up, Dan, I really, I envy Tim Lester. Tim Lester was a quarterback. And growing up, I wanted to be a quarterback, but I didn't have any type of arm strength. I couldn't play the position. But I always wanted to play that position growing up, and end up in high school being a linebacker. And that was the next best thing, to be able to call plays, got to college, and end up being a safety and being a leader in the secondary, be able to make coverage adjustments. So I've been able to, starting from what I wanted to do, and then when I played basketball growing up, I wanted to be the guy to be the point guard, not tight. You know what I mean? Someone that gets set the table and to see things on the floor and pass it to the open guy and those type of things. Pass it to the guy that that's going to pass it to the next open guy, whatever the case may be. Be the quarterback of the defense as a linebacker. Be the quarterback of the defense as a free safety. So my passion stems from growing up wanting to be the quarterback of whatever I was playing at that time, and so that's kind of as I've grown and got into the coaching profession and those things there. I've always wanted to be a secondary guy. I coached linebackers for a while, but and I never see myself coaching D-line, or I coached receivers for a moment. But offensively, the only position I would ever want to coach would be quarterbacks. I mean, I want to be involved in terms of the entire game, from the run game, the pass game. You want to be involved in that, and I think as a DB, you're involved in the run game, you're involved in the pass game. So that's why I'm passionate about it, from my youth going all the way up through to where I am now. And the kids that you coach some of the highest skilled kids in football. When you coach in the corners, receivers get a lot of publicity, those type of things. But that corner position is probably the hardest position, I think, in playing football, in terms of the skill level that's required to play it at a high level, especially nowadays with the rules that you have. You barely can even touch a guy. You know what I mean? So you got to have a high, just to be able to be high skilled, but also be a guy that has some physicality and range, and be able to have instincts and things of that nature. So all those things are why I'm passionate about secondary play, and all that stuff started when I was, a youth. I wanted to be a quarterback of the defense, quarterback of the offense, and so on and so forth.
that coming here from Fred Reed here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and much appreciation. I'm picturing Fred Reed going up against Tim Lester on the field. Like, I'm just seeing, can you figure him out? Can you key on him when he was a quarterback? Like, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to see that.
He was really good. He was really good. He was really good. I don't know, man. I tell you what, we probably throw some disguise coverages at him and maybe try to confuse him or something. I don't know. He was really good. So I don't know.
And, when we look at this, though, and you're speaking about being good here, you talk about how Eastern Michigan, in order for it to be a rivalry with Central and Western, you got to win games. Eastern Michigan's been around for 47 seasons in football. MAC for all of those seasons except for their first, which was independent in 75. From 75 to 2013, for that long stretch of decade upon decade, there was only 6 winning seasons. Chris Creighton has 3 winning seasons out of the last 6 years. So just what you could say about that. a team that from 75 to 2013, pre-Chris Creighton and you being on the staff and Neil and whatnot, this was a program that only had 6 winning seasons from 75 to 2013. Now you're halfway there with 3 winning seasons from 2016 to 2021. Just what that says about where Eastern Michigan football is.
Yeah, no, it's come a long way. And, and if we can, win a bowl game, here or there, a bit more, you know what I'm saying, in that 6-year period. So, but it just shows you in terms of where we are and what's been built here, and we're going to continue to try to strive and add to it. And I think we're going in the right direction. The type of kids that we're recruiting here, and the coaching staff that we have, the administrative support, all that works in concert with each other to get us to have the success that we've had in this last 6 years, and we're going to continue to build on that moving forward.
That coming here from the defensive pass game coordinator and safeties coach Fred Reed of Eastern Michigan, who was at Syracuse when we met one another and has moved on to Eastern Michigan with the Eagles to take on the rest of the MAC. You got to go to a bowl game this season, albeit not the way that you wanted it to end. I know you talked about winning a bowl game and how important that would be to this team. To give a little history here, folks, we look at the fact there was only one bowl game ever pre-Chris Creighton for Eastern Michigan, and that was the California Bowl, and that was back in '87, and they won the game back in '87. The Eastern Michigan Eagles did. And since then, we have the Popeyes Bahamas Bowl, the Camellia Bowl, the Quick Lane Bowl, and the Lending Tree Bowl. Lending Tree most recently. So the team has only been to 5 bowl games in 47 years. You're a part of 4 of those 5 games, Fred. I know you're a humble guy. I know you give credit to Chris, but you're a part of this team that's advanced to bowl season 4 times here very recently. What can you tell me about what you take away from, despite there being a loss against Liberty, what do you take away from bowl season and the importance of advancing to a bowl game?
Yeah, I think, our kids work really hard all year round. The coaching staffs work really, really, really hard in terms of preparing the guys, our support staffs. So everybody involved worked really hard. So the reward to working hard is the opportunity to go to a bowl game, and so everybody puts in a tremendous amount of work and sacrifice to be in a position where you can go to a bowl game. So it's like all hands on deck. We all work, tremendously hard, and it starts now in January for the new group, and we'll work hard to get back to a bowl next season. Ideally, you want a chance to win your division and a chance to play for a MAC championship, and then the next thing would be able to go to a bowl game and compete and win that bowl game. So that's really important, and I think we at this point have developed a tradition here that's and everything is trending in the right direction where we're going to be a perennial bowl program. That's something that our kids are going to work tremendously hard, and our staff will as well, and the support staff, and that's always our goal to get there. And now our biggest challenge is to win one. We haven't won one yet, and that's a big challenge to be able to compete at a high level, to be able to win it. In terms of just the importance of getting to a bowl, it really helps you develop your young players, and it gives us a chance to get extra practices in where we're not necessarily game planning, but we actually, it's almost like an additional spring ball, if you will, where we compete against our offense and get some of the young guys going. And you can continue to evaluate some of the freshmen and redshirt freshmen that you recruited, and gives you a great chance to give them another opportunity to play fast in practice, because during the course of the year, it's very hard if you're not playing those guys, and they're not in the in the two deep, or they're not in the rotation from a special team standpoint. You don't get a chance to spend a ton of time with them outside of a short individual. So I think it's huge for those guys. We have, for example, two young safeties that we think are going to be really good players coming out of camp this past August, and they played some special teams and played in 3 or 4 games and end up redshirting, and then in December during the practices they showed that they are going to be guys that they are who we thought they were, and so we're looking forward to spring ball, and also the training program, and getting to spring ball so those guys can continue to develop. So it's really, really important in terms of developing your young players, the extra practices that you get.
That coming here from Fred Reed on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Fred, in closing here, just, looking back on everything that's gone on. I mean, you spoke on Chris Creighton and him staying with this team and staying loyal to this team, seeing things through. Some people are surprised. He said that, for him, he said, I've been here for 8 years. This is home. I'm in love with this program and all the people in it. And so, I mean, big words toward you, toward Neil, toward those that are on staff in general, and just what that means to you in the coaching carousel that we live in today, and in this, constantly, coaches getting poached and getting spoken to throughout the season, after the season, before the season. To know that Chris wants to be a part of this, to know that he wants to be with Eastern Michigan, just what that means to you, that you have a leader who has stayed true to this and seemingly hasn't really even fielded too much as far as when somebody maybe wants to talk to him. It sounds like this is not something he's going after. He'd rather just focus on where he is right now and what he's doing.
Yeah, I think we just moved into a new facility, but 2 years now, and he really worked along with our athletic director really hard to get that done, and that basically started from scratch. I mean, they knocked down a small building we had before and built this huge complex that houses our football team, and it's unbelievable. And now it puts us on par with everybody else in our conference. And I think there are still other things that he wants to accomplish here in terms of moving the program forward. And I think he's 100% committed to doing it. And if anybody can do it, he's going to be the guy that's going to do it. In Michigan, be like he always said this in recruiting, like the greatest experience in our players' lives, like Pikes Peak out in Colorado as a senior trip for leadership. And he really bleeds green, and it's in his DNA at this point. You know what I mean? And I think he still sees that there's a lot to be done here, and he's continuing to work and find ways to get us to a point where we can hoist a MAC championship trophy. And I think that's his number one focus. I don't think he thinks about anything else. And he has the energy level, the passion. I mean, he can when he speaks, man, like if he stops coaching, I mean, he can probably be a motivational speaker. I mean, that's how good he is in terms of that, and he means every word he says. I mean, he's a really passionate guy, and everything he says comes from the heart. And I love that about him. And that's what's kept me here and working on the staff, because he's an unbelievable person. And if that day comes, some university would be really, 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 really lucky to have him. I'm telling you, he's great. But I hope that for the way his mindset is, I hope that we stay here and we're able to be perennial perennial MAC champions. You know what I mean? And do things that teams have done in this conference that have won multiple MAC championships. So So anyway, that's how I feel about what we're doing and what Coach Creighton has done here, and we look forward to starting off here and week when our guys get back and hit the ground running.
For you, Fred, when you said your goal is to win a MAC championship and then to be perennial contenders in the MAC, what does it say about the MAC that it's so hard to get to the championship game, let alone win 2 in a row? It's like every single year it's a different team. Northern Illinois, look at what they've done and how they were able to finish off their season. I mean, what can you say about the MAC, the fact that whoever the champion is, this isn't talking about like Alabama in the SEC or Clemson typically in the ACC or Ohio State in the Big Ten or Oklahoma in the Big 12. When it comes to the MAC, it's seemingly an ever-changing opportunity that really, I would think, goes to show just how competitive the MAC is, that we're not seeing the same team twice hoist a trophy.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think the players, there's some really good players in this league, and a lot of these players have a chip on their shoulder because they feel like they should be playing at the highest level of what we call Power 5. A lot of those guys have a chip on their shoulder about that. So I think there's some unbelievable players. The second thing is I think that there's some really good coaches, really good head coaches that have hired good staffs. And it's a flat-out battle every week you line up, man. So I think, it's not one of those deals where you can just go in and show up. I mean, you better come with your A game or you're not going to be able to win the game. So I think it's a combination of the players in the league and the coaches. There's some really good coaches in this league, and I think it makes it super, super competitive. And I think people on the outside really probably don't know that. I think you have to be on the inside or be involved with it on a weekly basis to understand the depth of it.
And in closing here, Fred, for name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal, how do you navigate this? How have you navigated this now that we've gone a season with name, image, and likeness? How involved, are you or is this staff in discussing it with players and being a part of that? And then when it comes to the transfer portal, as you're out there recruiting, what is the plan for Eastern Michigan, so to speak? Is this an active portal school? Is this a school saying, hey, we still want to build through prep schools and high schools and go to the portal if we need to? So how did you attack name, image, and likeness? I know it's two big topics, but how did you attack one of them? Basically tell me these two very big topics that have more questions than answers in the next 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah, like the NIL is something that I think every school is trying to wrap their arms around. But it really comes down to outside people in the community that want to be able to have one of the players or several players or what have you, represent their company or the business or what have you. And I think it's great for the players and those things. We've done some things with our athletic administration in terms of educating the guys on the NIL, but it's uncharted territory, and I think people are still trying to wrap their arms around it and trying to figure it out. And I think it's going to be that way for the near future, I would think. But I'm, just in terms of how I feel about it, I think it's great for the players. I think if a player has an opportunity to make some money off of his name, image, and likeness, more power to him. And if they're able to do it, and it's also not just football. Obviously, I'm speaking for football, but it's the Olympic sports too. I mean, more power to them. We got one of the best track programs in the country, and for our female student athletes who have really competed at a high level, for them to be able to cash in on the NIL, I think that's awesome. And so But we do try to do a job. Our administration do a good job in terms of educating them. In terms of the portal, we're a developmental program. That's who we are. Unless Coach calls a meeting tomorrow and says we're not, we're a developmental program, and so we always gonna recruit the high school kids and try to develop them, and then need based. I think everybody has to look at you have to at this point look at the portal just to see, because the reason why we have to, because again, you're going to lose guys too. So you're not going to, just the way that's the nature of this thing, what it's become. And so you just got to look in terms of need base. And that's how we are looking at it. We'll develop a program and then use the portal to be able to look at it similar to how we've looked at in the past at junior college programs, being able to recruit guys based on need. And whatever needs you have, just say, okay, we have a need at this position or that. We want to really look through the portal and junior college ranks to find someone that can come in that fit into those needed areas. That's at EMU. Some people do it differently. There are some that are really programs that are really hitting that portal really, really hard. But I think that's part of the reason people are hitting it really hard. I think it's some of it is the climate of the win now, and guys are not getting, I say guys, head coaches are getting 2-3 years to get things done. It's really difficult to do that really in football. You may be able to do it in others, maybe basketball or something. I don't know, but football is very difficult in terms of the numbers to be able to get it turned around that quickly. But I think that's where some people are putting their focus. But we're a developmental program. We like to get guys in the program and develop them and get them to play at a high level and have them in the program for 4 to 5 years and go from there with it. That's been what Coach Creighton has preached since I've been here.
Yeah, coming from Fred Reed here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Joe Adams coming up next. So, Fred, any words about Joe Adams as we get set to bring him in right after you?
No, that's my man. I know he's recruiting really hard, trying to, continue to build his program. And just an awesome guy, great friend. And I wish him nothing but the best in terms of recruiting. I've always run into him in the summer, and which is like, it's so great. That's one of the great things a lot of times in Chicago recruiting. So it's kind of cool. But I'm excited for him. I'm excited for where he's going with his program and those things. It's an exciting time for him. And I know he's passionate about what he's doing, and I know he'll get it done at a high level.
Who has a better cigar game? I asked DeAndre between him and Joe, and DeAndre actually deferred to Joe. So who would you say?
Wow, man, I got to go with Joe because DeAndre, I know he's into his cigars, but I can't recall DeAndre and I having a cigar together. Joe and I have, so I got to give the cigar game to Joe. I'm going to go with Joe. And so he's posted a few things. So yeah, he's posted a few things that I've seen. So I would go with Joe.
All right, fair enough. We know DeAndre is the best dressed. We know that's not a
without question. No question.
So that coming from Fred Reed, Eastern Michigan Eagles inside of the MAC, going into yet another season for him, 2016 all the way through to now. And being a part of this team, making multiple bowl games and having a bunch of winning seasons, 3 in the last 6 years. So being a part of the best part of history of Eastern Michigan says a lot about you, Fred, and a lot about Chris Creighton and Neil Nethery and the staff. So congrats to you. I know there's ever onward, ever upward, flying higher for the Eagles, but thank you for spending some time on today's show. Happy New Year, and thank you for being a part of the first week of Wake Up Call here in 2022.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. And Happy New Year to you as well.
All right, man. I'll talk with you soon.
All right. Take care.
Take care. That coming from Fred Reed one more time, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a quick step aside inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. And when we spin back around, can Joe Adam top the fact that Fred Reed was able to mistakenly quote not one, but two of my favorite rap songs ever? Feel So Good by Mace and Doing It by LL Cool J. Can Joe Adam top that? We'll see after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We appreciate you so much for being here and spending some time with us. So thank you for choosing Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we're hanging out here where sports meets life. You're watching and listening on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You're also listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. So however you're tuning into the show, thank you so much. We're in 2022, and this is show 2 of 2022. And I am very elated here inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' to tell you what's going on in this hour, and that is Mr. Joe Adam. Joe Adam and I have known each other since his time as offensive lines coach at Syracuse University under Scott Schaefer. I had the opportunity to get to know this gentleman, and all the way through we have been able to talk about so many things bigger than football: faith, positivity, community, humility, comedy, so many great things we've been able to connect with each other on. I consider him a great friend. He's been there professionally and personally in so many incredible ways, and anybody that comes to know Joe comes to know somebody that's truly good, truly caring, and will truly find time to be there for you when you need him. So with that being said, I proudly welcome Joe Adam onto the show, and I'm elated that, more than anything else, I get to call him a friend. So let's bring him in. The head coach of the St. Anselm Hawks inside of the NE10 of Division II football, Mr. Joe Adam. How are we doing?
Great, Dan. I appreciate all those nice comments. I'll continue to send you those checks in the mail, okay?
Listen, as long as you send me St. Anselm stuff, since I'm still waiting on DeAndre for Texas Tech.
Hey,
so
because DeAndre's got all the drip down there, man. So I wish I could hang with DeAndre as far as the fashion statement, but he's in his own bracket right now.
Yeah, man. He's got all that drip. But what do they say? Some people stay rich because they don't share. So that man's got a lot. However, I will say this about DeAndre. D and I were talking yesterday's show, and people can go back and watch and listen to it on all of our platforms. So you can go on YouTube right now and check it out, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. But D and I were talking about cigar game, and I said, who's the better cigar connoisseur, him or you? And you may be surprised, he picked you.
Wow. Shocking, actually.
What are your thoughts on the fact that he leaned on you for cigar game?
Well, I mean, I'll take every win I can get. So, if he wants to take the fashion win, I'm fine with that. I'll take the cigar win.
Okay, that's fair enough. But Joe Adam here with us from St. Anselm. We got a lot of stuff to unpack and get into. First and foremost, Joe, because you are such an inspiration, you're such a positive person, and you're somebody who does not hide their faith, and you're always putting up, good messages and whatnot. What is your message to yourself that maybe we could take as an inspiration here? A message to yourself, maybe to the world, coming out of 2021, going into 2022. What are some words of comfort and words of positivity moving forward?
Yeah, just, I spent some time during the break thinking about this, and what I kind of did was I kind of made a plan for myself this year, and I set it as my lock screen on my phone to remind me about some of the things I think that are important in my daily life, and really my thought process here going into this year is just to be great. And to be great at the little things that I do in my life, and to be great at the bigger things that I do in my life. And so if we try to approach things with greatness every day, and try to do things in a great manner, we may fall short of the goal, but we're going to be happy with the process, and then how we grow as individuals. So I just challenge myself to be great at the conversations, and be great at the work, and be great at the little things that I do on a daily basis. So, and I've been very intentional with putting a plan together, a daily plan and having purpose, and kind of segmenting my day so that I have the time I need to work and the time I need to connect with my family and my friends, and so just being very very open to that, and just holding myself accountable.
And Joe, like you said, holding yourself accountable, being great at the little things, great at the big things. In these last couple of years, we have hopefully learned to stop and smell the roses a little bit more, to appreciate what we have, to take a little bit more of us time. Time for me, time to breathe, time to work on my body, time to work on my overall health, time to pray, time to meditate, time to read a book. So, because this is a two-part thing for me, what did you learn that you needed to do better in these last 2 years where the pandemic has caused us to pause? What did you learn about what you wanted to do better, what you needed to do better? And then how do you continue to do that? Because I think it's one thing to evolve and to grow when we had no other choice, but now that things are feeling more normal, it's the holding on to that and the consistency of, okay, I learned something during the pandemic, I don't want to forget it again. So what did you learn, and what have you done to not forget it?
Yeah, I think I did learn to slow down a little bit, and I did learn to prioritize some things. And I'm still a workaholic, and that's, I think that's just kind of the nature of a coach. I don't know, and I don't feel any other way. Maybe I should pick up some hobbies, I guess, but just to be a little bit more intentional with time. And time is a very valuable thing as as I start to get older, and you start to surround yourself with your friends and your family, and just taking time out to keep those relationships strong, as well as foster the relationships within our own program, and so my saying here is that the most important recruit is the one that's on our campus, and so spending time cultivating those relationships, I think are really important, not only with players and coaches, but just sharing in the fact that we all have our triumphs and we all have our struggles, and so you can find some beauty in sharing those things with people, especially that are close to your group. So I just think being more intentional with my time and not sweating the small stuff. So work is always going to be there. So if I worked 15 hours yesterday, I guarantee I'm going to wake up today and find another 15 hours of work. There's so much film I can watch. There's so many recruits I can watch. There's so many phone calls and Zooms I can do. But it's just taking time out to say, okay, well, I got to take a pause and think about, what's best for me, and have a little bit of that infused with the rest of the day.
And I love that. See, that's the thing about you, Joe, is that you are, I don't know if you meant to be this, but you're like my Yoda in a way. You help remind me, and I'm gonna, I do impressions, so I haven't done the Yoda in a while, and I'll try to do the best I can, but it's like, smart you are, so but you do, you take me back to earth, and I gotta say thank you to you, because in your 15 hours of work you have a day, you found time throughout these last few years to give me an hour at like 10 o'clock at night when I just want to, sit and talk about something. And I really do appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you sharing, man. And those are, that's where, the relationships are formed, sometimes through the adversity, sometimes through the struggle. And, adversity is going to happen. And like I said, I learn every day from people, and I hope the heck they learn every day from me.
That coming from Joe Adams, St. Anselm head football coach. Joe, looking at the world we live in today with the transfer portal, we were talking about it a little bit off the air. It is musical chairs. The only problem is, like with musical chairs, when the music stops, there's not a chair for everybody. What are your thoughts on what we've learned early on about the transfer portal? And then secondly, as a D2 school, do you attack the transfer portal and go after those D1 athletes that may be looking to play, to get out there, to have opportunity, and maybe something didn't work out, or maybe something that they were hoping on didn't happen? How active are you in the transfer portal going after athletes in general, including D1, and what do you think about the portal?
So I'll answer the second part of that. Obviously we're active, and my job and my role as the general manager of our team is to improve my team in every capacity and in every way that I can. Whether it be younger guys, older guys. There's a very certain fit to St. Anselm College. The academics of our college really kind of fine-tune the pool of guys that I can look at via transfer model. So, that's not the case in some of the other schools in the league, and obviously in Division II. And so, we are actively looking at ways to improve our team. And we'll take those conversations and see if they're good fits for what we want to do, both offensively, defensively, and then culturally, more importantly. So I think the biggest challenge with the transfer model is how do you maintain your culture that you've built within your team when you're adding so many different faces from so many different places. The transfer portal is a little bit of craziness. I think, looking forward, I think your ability to manage your roster has become extremely difficult as a head coach. And I think that guys that are at FBS really have no power anymore over their roster. So you just kind of wake up and you're like, okay, well, is this guy leaving today, or do I need to replace this guy? And so I think the challenges of building a program over a 4-year period and matriculating players and watching that growth process is going to change tremendously. And so, this is the new college football, and I think some of the blue bloods and the old guys that have done this for 30 years in Division I are having a hard time with it because it's not like it used to be in the 90s and the 80s. And so I think we're all navigating what this is going to look like and what's going to be the end goal. What's the end game here? Is it going to be, FBS and everybody else? Is it going to be some semblance of a breakaway from the NCAA? Because when you really shake it down, there's probably, in my opinion, 8 to 10 teams who can vie for a national championship in this country in FBS, and the rest of everybody else is in the backyard.
What would you like to see? Would you like to see, like you said, there's different things that can happen. So would you like to see, of the history of the college football playoff, the SEC has won 4 championships, 3 Alabama, 1 went to LSU. Clemson has the ACC with 2. Ohio State has the Big Ten with 1. So what, would you like to see the SEC be its own league? Would you like to see the quote-unquote Power 5 shift and then the Group of 5 have their own? Would you like to see a model outside of the NCAA? If you could choose, what model do you think would work?
Boy, this is a tough question, man. I've kind of thought long and hard about some of these scenarios, and I think when you look at the games that we saw on, in the championship games, which were great football, and then you looked at the playoff game, and then on the 31st on New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day, just great bowl action. I mean, there's some great matchups and great coaching and great players and talented kids. So I don't want to lose that, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't want to skirt around the question, but I don't really know what the answer is on this model. I think, everyone's waiting to see what is the NCAA going to do. Are they going to punt on this? Are they going to make some ramifications or change some things within the entire amateur model that we're working with? obviously the combination of transfer portal and NIL has shaken college football to the core. And it has become a little bit of free agency and what's best for me, and that's great in our sport, but I think in the landscape of all sports in NCAA, how does that impact the soccer player and the lacrosse player and so on and so forth. So I think there's some ramifications through the NCAA that obviously need to be talked about. And we have a head coaches meeting on Thursday for Division II for our FCA convention. For some of the topics, I know the cohort of coaches here is extremely worried about getting poached. As far as developing and having good players, and then all of a sudden they become all-conference, all-American, and they're like, well, I'm going to go in the portal and try to go to FCS or FBS. So if we don't make any changes, that's going to be the reality here in the next 3 to 5 years.
And Joe, you bring up the fact that, your guys may want to leave and go up. There's guys may want to leave and come to D2 depending on what happens and whatnot. Looking at the bowl season, though, like you were speaking about, and what do we do from here and the level of competition, and like you said, the small list of teams that you think can vie for a championship every year. Of all of the bowl games we saw, granted, there's 43 bowl games in Division I FBS. Of those 43 bowl games in Jackson State and whatever got to be involved, but of the 43 bowl games that we have, 86 teams out of 130. It's the only, I think, college or professional league in the world that we have seen in the world of American sports where more than 50% of the teams make it. 86 out of 130 are advancing to a bowl game, including teams with losing records. 13 of, and granted, some of these games were canceled, but 13 of the original 43 games that were supposed to be played, only 13 of them ended in a close scenario of a touchdown or less. Only 13 games were close. What are your thoughts on that statistic, that of all of these games, and of the 30-plus that actually happened of the 43 that were supposed to, we saw less than half of those games, 13 to be exact, actually be close matchups? What does that say about college football, and what does it say about the bowl system?
Well, I think there's some built-in challenges. You have coaches that are because of the timelines of our structure and our contracts, you have coaches that are being moved and plucked around the corner, and then you have guys that are opting out of bowl games. So then now you have to get the next group ready. You have some, like you saw, with Utah and Ohio State, you have a young man playing both ways, whether because COVID, because of injury. So your roster management, that's why hats off to DeAndre and how he put that thing together. And I watched that game, and so, and then obviously Coach Lester at Western. It becomes a challenge, because you're out recruiting, you're trying to finish up your class for the first signing day. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. While everybody else is kind of getting settled in for the holidays, I mean, you are traveling all over the country in jets, and then you're trying to put practice plans together, and you're trying to get your players motivated. And then, okay, is this coach going to be in the building in the next few days, or is he going to get a phone call that tells him to go somewhere else? And so I think there's a lot of just built-in challenges, and and then I think it also comes down to how excited are you to play in the game, and I've always believed that the most excited team to play in the bowl game is going to have the advantage, and that's a lot of coaching and a lot of culture within those teams, and it's really hard. I mean, for the guys that are waiting, especially the later bowls, where they have that time off, and then, do they want to come back for the bowl game? And I just think the model probably needs to change a little bit. I don't know what that answer is, but we're seeing what the current model is, and the new the new form of success now is getting to a bowl game. And everything is tied to bowl gifts and bowl bonuses and so on and so forth. So, who knows? Who knows if that's going to change, or as the calendar or the model changes, does the bowl system change? I don't know that yet.
Yeah, and just break it down the numbers of what we had here. Of the 43 games scheduled, 35 of them got off. 22 of them were teams winning by greater than a touchdown. 13 was a touchdown or less. Neither one of the college football playoff games were one of those close games. The college football playoff semis were part of the 22 games that ended in double-digit losses for teams. We saw, going back to these games here, that Cincinnati lost by 21 to Alabama, and Michigan lost by 23. So, what does that say about college football, that when I'm sitting here giving the statistic that only 13 of the bowl games were close, that neither one of the college football playoff semis are included in those games that are supposed to show us the best teams in the country?
Sure. What it tells me is that, and I've watched all those teams, and they're really, really well coached. It shows me the superiority of the offense and defensive lines in Alabama and Georgia. And if you watch them, they're definitely the difference, and that's where it starts. And so it's hard to run the football when you're overmatched, and even harder to protect the quarterback when you're overmatched at one side or the other. And I'm not saying that that's the case because you watch Michigan and Cincinnati, and they did phenomenal jobs. Cincinnati is undefeated. And I don't care what league you're in, to be undefeated is a tremendous feat in today's college football. And Michigan ran rampant through the Big Ten. But I think what was very apparent, if you watch the game, was the challenge of the offensive and defensive fronts, and their ability to run the football effectively and protect the quarterback effectively. And that was really the widening gap. And as you start to give up some points, and it changes your offensive scheme, and now you abandon the run, and it just becomes pass friendly or pass happy when you're down by 14, 17, or 21, you play right into the defense's hands.
Yeah, and you brought up Cincinnati, and I banged the drum on Cincinnati for the last 2 years. I thought they deserved the 4th spot over Notre Dame last year, and I definitely thought they deserved to be in this year. We speak about controlling the controllables. They're the only team in America to go undefeated of 130 FBS schools. They finally get into the college football playoff. They lose, but when I spoke with Nick Saban, and as I said before here on the show, I want to thank all of the media outlets that stole my question and used it as their own. But when I had the opportunity to speak with Nick Saban and ask him about Cincinnati, I asked him flat out about the team, about what Luke Fickell's done, and he said to me on video, there is no doubt in my mind that this team deserves to be in the college football playoff. So they lose by 21, but Cincinnati makes it. What does Cincinnati of the American Athletic, albeit they're going to be a Big 12 team in the future, but as an American Athletic team who was told that they couldn't make it, as Cincinnati who was told they couldn't make it, and UCF in the conference that was told they couldn't make it, what does Cincinnati making it to the college football playoff do for the hopeful future of college football?
Yeah, I think it's going to provide some parity. With the SEC obviously being the premier conference, I know everybody, that's a debatable piece, but what you're going to see is, I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine a couple days ago, is, back 15 years ago when a MAC school beat a Power 5 school, that was a big deal. Like, Northern Illinois beating Alabama when Coach Shafe was there. That plaque went up on the wall, and it was a big time deal. And now, I'm not saying in that sense that's not going to happen, but the parity, the transfer portal, and those types of things has kind of created more parity outside of the top probably 8 to 10 programs in the country, where now a Kansas can be the Texas. Now, some of the blue bloods that, you're like, hey, we want to get back to the 90s and back to the early 80s. where that's going to be a challenge because the talent is more spread out, even in the FCS. So I think that you're going to see some of these teams come up from the group of five because, if they can put together an NIL package and put together a great coaching staff and a great plan about how they're going to promote their product, I think you'll be able to steal a couple players that can be difference makers for you.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the expansion of the college football playoff. I know you're coaching at the Division II inside of the NE10 right now, but would you like to see an expansion of the college football playoff?
I mean, I think from a fan's perspective, they would. Do I think that that's going to garner any difference as far as who's going to be the eventual champion? I probably don't. But everyone's chasing a little bit of money here. So, and then, the other point is you have to think about the players. So if you expand these things and you have more games, like how does that impact the student athletes, right? How many more games are you going to tax on them? And then they have finals, and then they have, then you want to try and get into, January, and then winter conditioning coming up in February. So, if you're going to start adding games, potentially adding weeks, you have to think about that as well.
Yeah, that coming from Joe Adams, St. Anselm, head football coach here for the Hawks, as we take a look at college football life in general. Looking at your team and what you've been trying to develop to do, and we speak on, conferences and what it looks like. The NE10, people in Central and Upstate New York know it very well because Lemoyne competes in all sports in the NE10 except for football. There's 14 schools inside of the NE10, except there's only 9 that play on the football side of things. What can you say about the football conference and being a part of a conference where we have 14 schools and 9 of them are playing football?
Yeah, it's been a great conference, it really has, and you're going to find a mixture of guys within the conference. You'll find some players that are from D1 that come down, or 1AA players that come down, and then homegrown Division II talent, and maybe that overachiever who's a high-level Division III player who just needed a little bit more of an opportunity. So I think it's a good mixture. There's great coaches here. I can speak very highly of our coaches in our league, and the ability to coach their teams and develop those teams and recruit. So it's very interesting at this point, with all the things that are happening with the calendar and recruiting, and especially trying to hold on to your seniors and so on and so forth. But it's been a great battle every time we go out on a Saturday afternoon, and it pretty much has been up in the air. And we had in our league, we had second to last week was really the top 2 teams in our league playing for the top spot. So that's, I think, as a conference, that's kind of what you want to see.
Yeah, and for you to see the development of this, I know wins and losses is important to you, but how have you seen what St. Anselm's been able to do in your time there? I mean, you have been loyal to them, they've been loyal to you, and you've worked together hand in hand with St. Anselm here for the last, 6 years, going into now year number 7. So what are you seeing from your vision that you had walking in to where you stand now?
Yeah, I mean, we are tasked with fixing culture and retention and diversity, and those are the things that were really important to me as a person and as a coach. And we've had great support from our athletic director, Mr. Montgomery, and the people on the hilltop, and so we've been able to repair everything that we think we can repair right now. Our academics is probably the better it's been since I've been here. Our retention rate is actually higher than our schools, which I think in the coaching world, my guys would laugh at me, because there's no way that would ever happen in any other place in the country. But it speaks to our culture, and it speaks to our buy-in of our players. and that they feel valued here, and they feel wanted, and they feel coached. And we're coaching on a daily basis. So I'm surrounded by a tremendous group of guys as far as my coaching staff who work tirelessly, in what we're trying to get done here. And, and so I really have to tip my hat to them for all the work that they do, because the head coach is only as good as the supporting cast and supporting staff. So we've been able to grow our roster in the last 6 years. When I took over in the spring of 16, I think there was like 50-something players. We're about to start in January with 95 players. And so, like I said, that retention, that development, that want to work and want to be here from all different walks of life, from New England kids to 30% of our team is from outside of New England. So we've been able to attract people to this small private Catholic school in southern New Hampshire. And I think we've attracted them through our coaching staff and through our culture.
And when you're, like you said, you're only as good as your supporting cast. When you're putting a staff together, what are you looking for? In a coaching carousel world where things can change in an instant, what are the pillars that Joe Adam needs in order to hire someone onto a staff? What are you looking for that goes maybe beyond what would be the typical, that coach has won in different places? How do you put a staff together that you can trust, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think the first thing I look for is talent. Does the guy have talent? Does he have an ability to coach? Is he a positive person? Those things are really important. For the amount of time as we're going to spend together, I want to be around positive people. I don't want to be around guys that yell and guys that scream at players and so on and so forth. I want to be around good teachers, good role models, guys that are meticulous, guys that have attention to detail. Those are kind of the quality points that I look for. Guys that have personality, and I think that the thing I tell our people in recruiting is, I think the best characteristic that we have as a coaching staff is we understand how to be the thermostat. And what I mean by that is I understand that as a player, as a man, as a coach, when I need to turn up the heat and when I need to challenge kids. And I also know when there's going to be some times of doubt, some times of adversity, where you got to cool it off and you got to be there for them. And so I think that's the best quality that we have developed here, and something that's been really important to me as far as developing our assistant coaches is knowing when it's time to go and when it's time to work, and knowing when it's time to just be guys and be supportive in the room and uplift each other.
And Joe, when you talk about coaching staffs, you being a part of the Syracuse staff, that's how you and I met. You said that for bowl season you had the opportunity to watch some of those friends of yours play in bowl games. What can you say? I mean, DeAndre and Texas Tech got a dub. We know Fred Reed, that was just on the show, Eastern Michigan, albeit didn't get the victory, but they were able to get to a bowl game, 3 winning seasons in the last 6 years, and Fred Reed's been a part of all of those on a team that had only had 6 winning seasons from 75 to 2013. He's now been a part of a team at Eastern Michigan that's had winning seasons 3 times in the last 6 years. So a better part of history despite not winning the bowl game over Liberty. Texas Tech and DeAndre Smith get a win. Western Michigan, Tim Lester gets only the 2nd win ever in the history of Western Michigan in bowl season, giving him the same record 1-2 as PJ Fleck, and the same amount of bowl games in the same amount of time, 3 and 4 years. So when we're speaking on some of these guys and seeing the success, just what bowl season was like for you to support your friends?
It was awesome. It really was, and it became the pinnacle of, like, when I was traveling, I was like, okay, I got to set this alarm to try to get this game in, and I'll support those guys to the end. They're great human beings. I don't think Fred Reed gets enough credit for the work that they've done at Eastern Michigan. A hard place to coach and a hard place to be, and Coach Creighton's done an amazing job with that culture and revitalizing that program. I don't think they get enough credit in college football. And then obviously watching DeAndre and I have a lot of good friends at Mississippi State, so but I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this with just a fan's eye here, and so they did some amazing things, and it was funny because I was sitting there saying, I'm like, okay, if DeAndre was running this thing, how would he do it? And it's exactly how I thought it would play out, and then. I think Tim got his team ready and excited to play in that bowl game, and and really picked apart a Nevada team that was going through a lot of transition with a lot of coaching staff and players, and it was just fun to watch him and Lou just put it together on the sideline, and I was texting him after the game, and I'm like, picking out certain plays, like, hey. I was a great play, a great design that you did on the backside safety, and so it's kind of fun to be able to watch it and see some of the wrinkles that we actually did some things at Syracuse, and see those kind of maybe show out in a little bit of a different landscape.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and those guys have my support all the time.
Yeah, coming here from Joe Adam, St. Anselm head football coach for the Hawks. Joe, what you've been able to do with a Division II program is to really, for me, make it look, because I don't care about divisions. I care about the coaches and the message and what they expect and what they ask for. It could be D1 FBS, D1 FCS, D2, D3, JUCO, doesn't matter to me. What I look at is how you approach things, how you want to be a part of it. And what I can tell you is when I'm looking at social media and I'm looking at, the optics of it all, your team and the way that the hashtags and the pictures and the things that you do, you want to make National Signing Day look like D1 FBS National Signing Day. And you want, St. Anselm to look like a fun place to go to, an exciting place to be, that there's an emphasis on this. And I'm not saying that, pictures and videos are the only thing that make a football team. But what I'm saying is it looks like you put in the care and the concern and the want to, because there's some Division I FBS teams that look lazy when it comes to welcoming someone onto the team and putting things out there. So I kind of want to get into that side of it. Division II football, NE10, but the way that you attack social media and the pictures and the different things you want to do optics-wise really seem to, at least for me, be enticing, because it looks like what I would expect from an FBS program, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something that, I talked about when we got here is, we have this Division I mindset wrapped in the Division II shell. Yeah. And we're going to run it exactly that way. And so I've been around some great people and some great players and some great places. And a lot of the things that, we did behind the scenes at Syracuse, I still try to do at a scaled level at a place like this. Our staff is very small. So, we have some graphics people and we think outside the box. And I haven't been able to do everything that I'd like to do yet. But I'm certainly working towards that mark, and it's been great just to be able to spread the message about the things that I think that are important to us and our culture and our program. And the one thing I'll tell you is we graduate players at an alarming rate here, and they get great jobs, and that's the story that needs to be told a little bit more. With this education, our kids are thriving outside there in the job market, and it's been fun to just watch and connect with our alumni and see how those guys are doing and provide a great platform and building men with the platform of football, but also just kind of sharing in their joys and watching their successes once they finish off the field. And that's been a cool part for me as a head coach and connecting the dots, when it comes to, your post-football life. So, we're going to continue to do the things I think that are necessary for us to spread our message. We've certainly been in some marketplaces where blue-collar mentality is not an afterthought anymore. So it's on people's minds, and it's something that they want to be part of.
Joe, when you're trying to build a program with a blue-collar mentality, with personal responsibility, with humility, with an emphasis on academics and not just saying it or not just hoping a player gets by to be eligible, but actually wanting them to get a good education, to care about their scholastic side so that they get a good job and have a good future for themselves. When you care about academics more than just saying you care, or more than just making sure they're, because if you make sure a player's eligible, if you make sure they get a C or whatever they need to get, a 65, if that's all you care about as a coach is just get them on the field, then you're not going to get them on the field of life in the future. So when you care about academics in a real way, and you put an emphasis on that, and you put an emphasis on retention and humility and community and service and personal responsibility and teamwork and blue collar, it's very difficult to build a successful win and loss team when you're not willing to cut corners sometimes. So bring me into the of what it's like to be a coach that doesn't cut corners, cares about his program, and would rather have a record that maybe isn't as high as you want it to be if you're doing things the right way. Because everybody has the challenge of doing things the right way may not get you there as fast, and that's why the devil likes to tell you to cut corners. So what's it like running a program where you don't cut corners?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of time investment for sure. So at this particular spot, I coach the linebackers. And so I meet weekly, probably with, 10 out of the 15 linebackers every week academically. And so I spend a 15-minute part of my day per person just talking about life, about plan, so it's like all the things we did in Division I, but we had people to do that. We're all doing it as coaches here. So we're heavily, heavily involved in people's lives. And they see us develop them not only on the field, but in the weight room and then off the field. And it's that development off the field that creates the connection between our players and our coaches. We do it differently than a lot of people, but if I'm going to invest time in their athletic performance and their nutrition and their weight room performance, I have to invest in their performance as people and as academic and student athletes. So we spend a lot of time with that, and it does take time away from game planning and such. And we don't have 30 people on our staff here, so I think we do a heck of a lot more with less here than in any place I've ever coached. Down the road, if I do decide to coach again somewhere at a higher level, I think I'll feel a much easier job because I'll just be focused on football and creating relationships and not all the other pieces and parts that I'm involved in on a daily basis.
Joe, you took an opportunity to be a head coach at the D2 level. You've been D3. You've been an assistant D1. What makes you want to be a head coach D2 as opposed to being a position coach at D1? When you're making those decisions between maybe a scenario like that where you're an offensive line coach at Syracuse and now you're a head coach at St. Anselm, what do you weigh when you're thinking running a program at D2 or being part of a program as an assistant in D1?
Yeah, I just think it's personal goals. I think it's different for everybody. I think, my want to be a head coach again and to run my own program was important, and the timing of things. Jobs in college football are so much about timing. And it's kind of like, finding your girlfriend or your wife sometimes. You don't expect it, but God kind of puts it and falls in your lap, when you're not looking. And so, those things kind of come to fruition. And if you do a good job where you're at, people will notice you. And, so I've enjoyed being a head coach. Is there going to be a life outside of this that, am I want to be an assistant coach again? Potentially, but, you never know. I mean, I'll put it in God's hands and let his plan come to fruition. But, the good part about moving between those pieces is that I do have a wealth of knowledge as it comes to some different aspects that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't running my own program. So, I guess the double-edged sword is the buck stops here, with the head coach. And nobody that is in our seat here understands what it's like to be a head coach on a daily basis, from budgeting to player development, coaching development, program development, alumni outreach. There's a number of ways I get stretched on a daily basis, and it's just trying to prioritize those things and have a plan as we move throughout the day and throughout the week.
Yeah, coming from Joe Adams, St. Anselm College head coach for the Hawks for Division II inside of the NE10. Joe, two final points here before I let you go. One has kind of a bunch of different pillars to it, but you just brought up alumni relations, so I want to make that the final point before we head into the last portion of today's show, Wake Up Call, inside the Cafe Cubal studios. So, alumni relations, I have seen firsthand schools that do not really do it, and then there's schools that, that do. There's a school like Tennessee who wants to, put the guys out there on the field, and they're going to have a game where they have, from season to season, they have the alumni come out, stand on, and the players, instead of the players running out of the tunnel, the players stand on the field, and the former players come out, and the players that are currently on the team are on either side of them, and they get to run out of the tunnel again. Then there's a place like my hometown of Syracuse where almost every single player of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s telling me, hey, we don't get the love. We don't get phone calls. Outside of Coach Hicks, who's fantastic, and Dion Mannix, we really don't get it. So how important are alumni relations in building a program and sustaining a program? And do you think that you can truly build your best program by cutting off your alumni?
Yeah, I think your alumni has to be a part of the history and the process, and I need to do, being self-reflective here, I need to do a better job even with our alumni and as a college as well, in bringing those guys back. There's a lot of guys I reach out to and might send a note or might send a text or whatever that may be. But what people don't understand is it's a very specific brotherhood, and no different than any other group. It ain't about the wins and losses. Like, guys just don't, guys remember that one game or those two games or maybe that championship season, but it really is it's the camaraderie in the locker room. It's the daily grind that you went through. It's the 6 a.m.s that you got up and did winter conditioning in the freezing cold. And it's those times of, like I said earlier, those times of adversity where you really form those relationships. And it's cool to see. I get pictures from our alumni of guys hanging out and, guys going to football games or going to, playing golf together or night on the town. And, and the stories get more expanded as we talk. And, and it's a hard job because there's only one of me. And so to connect our alumni and reach out and do outreach, besides, especially in a recruiting cycle, is difficult, and it's a priority, obviously. But I think it's different for every coach. There has to be a fine line between like how much you bring it in and how much you keep them within your program, as far as, what types of events you're going to have and what types of things you're going to do and what makes sense and having a collaborative effort, because I think those guys can tell your story and they can tell the story of the past of your program. I think for us here at St. A's, there's so many connections I can make who can lead to a mentorship program and to, an opportunity for a young guy in my program, that can help them for their future. So those are really the things I lean on more so than donations and so on. So, and then just bringing them back to campus, as campus has changed tremendously since I've been on campus here in the last 6 years. So I think it's different for every coach. I think it's a process. I also think you have to have the manpower to be able to do it, and then the framework to be able to execute it as well.
And the final portion, and I love that answer, and I appreciate that. I don't know how you build without alumni, and especially, like you said, bring them back and show them how you've grown. This coming from Joe Adam from St. Anselm. Joe, there's a final piece that we do, and I believe you've been a part of it before, and that is the ingredients to success, done every Tuesday here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to round out the show, proudly presented by Avicolli's, the best place for veal parmesan and so many things. I just went there with my mom to have dinner here. And so at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the road from Liverpool High School, where we feature Liverpool Warriors athletics every single month with a special broadcast on-site on location. So with that being said, the ingredients to success topic for today is control. And I would love for you to be a part of it, Joe, because it's a conversation I feel like we would have off the air. And that's about, I've met people in life who try to control other people in order to establish dominance and to feel worth in life. I've experienced personally myself in trying to control situations to try and make things better and then realizing you can't. So there's different levels of control. There's people who control people in a manipulation way, and there's a conversation there. And then there's people trying to control things to try and make it better, and then understanding you can only control yourself. So let's look at the two sides of this coin, I guess, this morning. How would you respond to someone in a situation where their coach, their parent, their friend, their teacher, their neighbor, their sibling, their spouse is controlling them in a way to almost use them and manipulate them like a puppet? How would you advise them moving forward, as we do live in a world where this is a very real thing?
Yeah, I would say your self-worth has to be way higher than that. And people that are controlled, manipulated, don't have a very high intrinsic value sometimes, and they're they feel like they're not in control of their future, which in fact you are. If you're in a controlling position, make the change to step out of that, and so I will not be, personally, I will not be controlled for any reason, and if that happens here, then I'll move on to greener pastures. But that's not going to be part of the ingredients of success into anything. So whether you're a parent trying to control your spouse or your children, I like to use the word empower, and that's what I'm trying to do here as a leader. I'm not trying to control my team. I'm trying to empower them. And I'm trying to put the pieces of our leadership group together. I don't need to control my coaches. I need to empower them to make good decisions, to continue to develop people. And I like to use that word instead of control. When you try to control everything, you control nothing. So, just control the controllable things in your life. You got to wake up every day. You got to attack life with purpose. You got to love on each other. You got to be respectful to each other. Those are the things that you can control. And the rest of it will all work itself out.
And you kind of went to the second part of that, which is when you're trying to control a situation that, you want to see get better, right? A pandemic, we can't control it. Seeing somebody hurt somebody and you want to help them get better, or seeing someone who's, has addiction and you want to change that and whatnot. And I've seen that in different worlds with alcohol, with food, with different pieces. And so, I think there's another side of control where, sometimes a person is a good person and they're trying to show somebody, hey, like, you have self-worth, but that person doesn't see it. Like, don't do those drugs. Don't go down that path. Don't hang out with that group. Not because I'm trying to control you, but because I know if you go down that road. So there's that other side of control where I think, you being a good person, me trying to be a good person every day, we have learned that, sometimes in our nature, Joe, we're trying to guide somebody, and we have to be willing to understand that no matter how much you try to guide them, advise them, speak with them, pray for them, hope for them, that ultimately you cannot make a horse drink. You can only bring them to the water.
Yeah, I think that's very true, and I think the challenge that we have as people is to fill up our buckets every day, and to fill each other's bucket every day and hold each other accountable. There's a difference between having accountability in a relationship versus having control, and if there's a certain goal or somebody wants to try to achieve, surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable. And so if you're dealing with somebody who has alcoholism and you don't want them to drink, well, unfortunately, that's not your life. You can only, you can try to educate, you can try to influence, you can bring others along, and try to, show that person that there's a better side to it, and continue to pray for them and hope that God comes into their life, or they're moved by the Holy Spirit, or wherever that may be. I've seen it firsthand, so it can happen. But that want and that need for change has to come from inside. And that once that comes from inside, once that person makes that choice, now surround them with people that will hold them accountable and not enable them. And so that's something that I've always done here in my own life, and tried to do on a daily and weekly basis as we try to get the very best out of people.
Yeah, coming from Joe Adams, somebody who is a source of knowledge, that always helping me to fill my bucket every single time we get to talk, and even in the times that we aren't talking. So, Joe, as always, thank you. I can tell you firsthand that your leadership is seen through and does shine through. Your faith and your positivity, your family orientation that you have here, that you want to bring people together, that all shines through in what you do and in the things you say. So I know every time I have you on the show, it goes well beyond football, and it's a reminder to me that it doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter who you're around, it doesn't matter what you're doing or how you're doing it. It matters who you're doing it for, which it should always be God, and the positivity that you should seek to bring, and to never let any outside source take away your inside peace. And I don't know how to say thank you enough for that. You're a great person, and you are a constant reminder in this world that there are people out there that seek goodness, and you're just a reminder of what to get around and what not to get around. So I'm sure as a coach, you are doing great things, because in our relationship, you have done incredible things in just simple messages. So I want to say thank you for that.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the platform and our friendship, and just challenge you to be great, man. Be great in 22 and do everything with greatness in mind.
Yeah, coming from Joe Adams. Joe, as always, I appreciate you. Good luck out there hunting for hawks, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, coming from Joe Adam one more time on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We'll take our final step aside of the second show of 2022, and we'll wrap things up inside the Cafe Kubal studios right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the Southern Tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-paying non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. to enjoy their general store with local products from local companies, their indoor dining experience with a bistro restaurant menu that changes every weekend. So you can dine in Tuesday through Sunday, and on the weekends, that restaurant takes up its own menu every single week, changing to something new. So you want to come back every week to see what's on the menu from the mind of Rebecca Elford, the owner. And of course, a big thanks to all that they do with their drive-through window to help us to grab our food and go. You can do contactless pay on the app, grab your food, stay in your car, and head off on your way. So Millhouse Market doing everything they can to make it easy, keep it simple, keep us safe. Here in this very unique last couple of years that we've had, the Millhouse Market has evolved with us and continue to give us their fantastic flavors on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every single time. With that being said, back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, I want to give a special thanks to Fred Reed, as well as Joe Adam, our two big-time guests for today. Very much appreciate them. And starting off 2022 with four coaches that I met, all when they were in Syracuse. Tim Lester now in his fifth season, finished up his fifth season with a bowl victory, the second ever in the history of Western Michigan as the Broncos head coach. DeAndre Smith, Texas Tech Red Raiders running backs coach that just aided his team through a transition of head coaches into a bowl game, and not only a bowl game, but a bowl victory substantially over Mississippi State in a blowout. And then having Fred Reed here, who's been a part of, there's only been 9 winning seasons in 47 years for Eastern Michigan. He's been a part of 3 that have come within the last 6 years. They had 6 winning seasons from 75 to 2013. They've had 3 in the last 6 years with him as one of the coaches on staff. So a big shout out to Fred Reed, bringing a very positive history to Eastern Michigan and the most, arguably the most progressive, positive history that they've ever had. And then a big thanks to Joe Adam, who's done what he's done to work to change the culture for the better and everything about St. Anselm, and to have a Division I mentality at this Division II school as he heads into year number 7. And of course, Joe for joining us for the ingredients to success, with today's topic being control and how we handle people trying to control us, things trying to control us, and how we need to know that we cannot control anything but ourselves. So a multifaceted conversation on control and what we can do with it and what we should do about it. So thank you to Joe for that. Proudly presented by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Walking distance from Liverpool High School, where we have our Liverpool Warriors shows every single month exclusively at Avicolli's. So thanks to Avicolli's for that. Thank you to you for tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Under promise, over deliver, as we have gone over 2 hours again today. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com. So we appreciate you being here and connecting with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, you can hop into our archives by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Tune in, Podbean, and iHeartRadio, as well as other channels. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT as one word on any one of these channels to find our archive and always connect with our show 24/7 all throughout the year. Thanks to Central and Upstate New York partners Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn Popcorn Factory, where you can order anywhere in the country. So for those of you listening from the Michigans and the New Hampshires and the Texases and the so-ons and the so forth, especially to our coaches of the first few shows of 2022, you can get Ma and Pa's just like we can here in the Central New York community. 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York is where you can go on site, and you can order at Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com nationwide. Progressive Dental, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, Lemoyne Dolphins, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Mother's Cupboard, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and PB&J's Lunchbox, now proudly serving you your Cafe Kubal coffee on site on location as you enjoy all of the wonderful breakfast, lunch, and dinner items throughout the day, Monday through Saturday at PB&J's Lunchbox, which now also delivers from 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. With that being stated, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora also wants to make mention that we are the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for Dolphin Time and all throughout the year, as Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the only multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins, connecting with them and telling their stories all throughout the month, every single month. And every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time is our dedicated For Sure Dolphin Time Weekly. The first and third Wednesday we have AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, speaking on topics every single first and third Wednesday of each month pertaining to Lemoyne, and every second and fourth Wednesday in a segment called Dolphin Dive, where we speak with student athletes, coaches, and staff members about why they chose Lemoyne and about their journey. You can see all of these and hear all of these on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT by clicking subscribe, by going to wakeupcalldt.com and subscribing to our Lemoyne page, and by, of course, going to LemoyneDolphins.com for more information, including our Wake Up Call logo at the bottom of their website. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the proud multimedia marketing partner also of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride all day, day, and every Friday you can see the Marywood Pacers hanging out with us, rounding out the week with specials with their Executive Director of Athletics, Pat Murphy, their coaches, and their student athletes, with Marywood University getting unprecedented coverage of their athletic programs and the university as a whole here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as our proud media multimedia marketing partnership continues on in its awesome storytelling inside of Pacer Pride, thanks to the fantastic staff, coaches, and student athletes of Marywood University. You can see all these stories by going to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and clicking subscribe, as well as subscribing to our Marywood page on WakeUpCallDT.com and going for more information as well as our logo on MarywoodPacers.com that will bring you right back to our site as well. So, with all that being said, God bless, no stress, do your best. Thank you to Fred Reed for quoting LL Cool J and Mace. Thank you for Joe Adam for joining us for the Ingredients to Success. Thank you to you for joining us for show number 2 of 2022, and have a fantastic day. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, the Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And in the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk with you soon. Be